Consistent with the governor's orders suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, public may not be physically attend this meeting, but every effort will be made to allow the public to view and listen to this in real time. Persons who wish to do so are invited to check on the following links. If you do not have a camera or microphone on your computer, may use the following aids in a number 1031-715-8592. That's a telephone number. ID number 916-3013-9492. Code number 586791. Please only use dial-in or computer and not both, as audio feedback will distort the meeting. This meeting will be audio and video recorded. And I might mention that, that now we've got text as well in this recording. So the only people that are participating in this, basically as far as open mic, are the developer, the attorney, and the zoning board, the two zoning board members, myself and Amy. Anybody else is just here to listen. We're not taking comments. We're trying to move this forward at the same time. So I guess we start with you, Brian, basically as to where we are on the design, and maybe you got to bring Peter in here as well.
Peter's here.
Hey, I'm here.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt, Jim. Do you want to just take a roll call now that I'm here?
Yeah, okay. If you want to be formal about it, yes. Jim
Okay.
McBain from the zoning board and
Amy Wall from the zoning board.
we'll be running the meeting at this point.
This might be
So,
one of the,
with,
this might be one of the final Zoom meetings.
Mhm.
well, I've got a,
First and maybe the last.
I actually have a signage meeting on Wednesday that's in the conference room.
Yeah, it has to be now, right? I mean,
Yep.
the governor filed legislation to extend it, but the legislature hasn't acted on it yet.
Yep.
Right.
So I have another member from my signage review group, basically, who wants to know which yin and yang he's supposed to be on because he's in a butter and has been notified of a zoning board meeting.
I
think
hope
they're
they
gonna,
extend it. I hope they extend it.
Mm,
I mean, I think it really increased public participation, access.
Big time.
It's
Right.
it's all good. It's, convenience, saves clients money.
right.
It makes it
Especially
more
for
convenient
subcommittee
the public and
meetings
board members.
too. Yeah.
So, but in any event, so Peter, can you try to talk again? Because you sounded like you had a frog in your throat.
How about now? Is that better?
Much better.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
so Peter is here, Rick Salvo, our site civil is here. Steve and Joe Bocelli are here, who are the underlying clients, and Scott Thornton is here too. He's our traffic consultant. He might have no role here, but I asked him to be available just in case you guys had any questions of him if we try to, work through this. So I think Jim and Amy, you know where we are, and thank you for attending the Traffic Advisory Committee meeting. Because I think you're privy to what transpired there. So where we kind of left it with you is we were working on the design, and there was a massing issue that you have on the last design that Peter had.
well, let's stop there for a moment. So some of us know, because we attended the traffic TAC meeting, there's been further design changes basically related to pickup, drop off of packages and a few other things. So I think in the discussion about design, let's make sure we cover those particular topics as well, so that the overall picture is brought up to speed. Because you're right, before we were talking about massing and like, but there are other topics basically that come up that Amy and I haven't been involved in, but we're aware of only because we attended the TAC meeting basically. So
Yeah.
let's make sure we cover that as well.
That would be great. Appreciate that. So what would you like to do first?
Why don't we start with the TAC stuff that was presented?
Okay, that's
So
fine.
that-
So,
Because that's sort of step one, then we can step into step two, which is the massing.
so can you allow me to share my screen?
Yeah,
You can
Wait.
figure that out.
yeah, figure that out. It's about right. Uh,
Jim, I think if you go down to participants at the bottom,
Okay,
and then there should be something, I don't have it on mine because I'm not a host, but there should be something inside there, or even if you click on Brian's name.
I clicked on Brian's name and
How about the screen share button at the bottom, Jim? If you click on that, there's an option to allow other people to share.
it's showing,
Share screen.
yeah, I see that.
Well, I think that did it. Oh, you're
No,
sharing.
that's
it.
him sharing. Oh. Don't close that because then you're gonna kick us all out of the meeting. Go back down to share screen and click it off.
Yeah, easily said, right?
Go back to your green button, share screen.
Yeah, I'm trying to get that piece back up. Lovely. I don't know. It's oh,
Scroll down to the bottom of the screen and see if you have the icons that you can click for Zoom.
It's up at the top of my screen now. Brian.
Because you should have another window that you can get to that shows all of us on it.
I could put him in the waiting room.
No.
It's like the timeout room.
Timeout room. That someone might agree with me there.
Want to see if you can add me as a host and I can try to do it?
Yeah. I have a resume share.
You seen your green share screen button, Jim?
Yeah, I've hit it, but it's giving me my screen. It's giving me whiteboard or post attendee Zoom personal.
Because you're sharing your screen now. Is that Jim's screen we're seeing, Amy?
No,
Yeah. No, that's yours, yeah.
I don't see anything on that.
Jim, if you scroll up to the top, on mine, it says you're viewing Jim's screen, and then there's a thing that says view options next to it. Do you have that? The top middle. Oh,
There you go.
there you go. All right, so now click on my name, go back into participants and click on my name and add me as a host.
You're an expert, Amy. There you go.
You're in.
I'm in, okay. So now I'm gonna do share screen and multiple can share. All right, try that, Brian.
Oh, yeah, good job.
Thanks.
Yeah, he's got a pin on him.
There you go. See that? Okay. All right, can everybody see that?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so this is the kind of the floor plan slash site plan that was submitted to traffic advisory. You guys were on there to, because one of the things that we wanted to talk to them about, or they wanted to hear from us, was how we were going to deal with deliveries and trash, etc., which we presented to them. Has not been fully presented to your board, as you know, because now we're here presenting it to you for the first time. I think the way we'll go about this is I'm going to let probably Rick and Peter deal with this aspect of it. So, Jim, do you want to deal with the deliveries first?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Rick, can you kind of hop in here? Rick Salvo?
Sorry, I had to jump away for a second. What was that?
All right, we need you to, I'm going to hand it over to you. I want you to explain the deliveries, how the deliveries are going to take place here.
Sure.
And you're
So-
gonna do, you can probably deal with the aspect of the drive, and then Peter can hop in on the interior if we need to.
Yeah, so the real question was trash and deliveries. So if we can start with the trash end of things first, probably makes the most amount of sense. It's my understanding that the trash truck right now either backs down Crescent Hill Street and drives out, or drives down Crescent Hill Street and backs out. And what we are anticipating in this scenario would be the trash room in the front corner there. When the trash truck is driving back out of Crescent Hill Street, they'd stop right in front of this site. They would have a key to the trash room. They'd open the trash room, wheel the dumpster out or the compactor, whatever it might be, empty it and put it back in. That area would also be utilized for delivery trucks, Amazon vans and the like to be able to back in. And there'd likely be a man door in that area there, which would lead to a delivery room where they could place the delivery vehicles while being parked off the street.
So that I understand, I get the idea about the trash truck and rolling it out onto the curb and taking it, taking it back to the truck and loading it up and then putting the trash back in. It's not clear to me. I mean, normally people, they come in and into the entry, basically, whether they drive in or walk in, basically, there's some sort of pickup area in the lobby. So are you telling me that this guy's going to deliver from the back of the building to the front of the building to some drop-off space?
Yeah, the
You're
drop-off
talking about
space.
deliveries?
Going through the garage?
Are you talking about deliveries or trash now, Jim?
No, I'm talking about
Deliveries.
deliveries.
Okay.
I'm fine with I understand the trash. It's the delivery process that I'm not clear on, and I don't think you guys are yet.
Well, I think we are. I think what we're, and Peter, I think what we talked about is within this area next to the trash room, we'll have a delivery area where packages can be left.
It exists there, right in front of the trash room. There's a smaller room,
Hold on.
delivery room. Yep,
Package room?
right there. Yep.
So you're coming through an outside door there
Yes. Yep,
from the street side.
that's right.
Right, but they'd be able to park in that little alley there.
So they'll drive in, face in, supposedly, get out of their truck, walk to that doorway and put the stuff in there.
That's right.
Is that really enough room for the stuff that comes these days?
How big is the room, Peter?
I think we have the option to make it, we definitely have the option to make it bigger.
Well, how big is it?
It's around 8 by 10.
If the doorway's 3, Peter, if that doorway's 3 feet,
Well, like 6 by 8.
You're lucky if it's 5 by 7.
What do you think? Do you think it needs to be double that?
Mm.
I just see it as a thing these days. Basically, it does need to be bigger.
Yeah,
8 by 10 sounds more realistic to me than the 5 by 8.
Yeah, I think it's too
He's
small.
the guy's gonna start open the door, throw the stuff in on the floor, and slam the door before it falls out.
I mean, we have room to make the trash room come behind the handicap area there, I believe. Meaning we'll have to steal some space internally for the trash room, and then we can steal from the trash room for the package room.
So what happens to the handicap person? How do they get there?
They're not allowed in there. I mean, right now there's a door, right, in there to the trash room. Is that what you're talking about, or to the package room?
I'm talking to the package room. They either got to go outside to come inside,
Yep, they would.
or they have to go up 3 steps.
Yep.
Mm.
Yeah, I
Doesn't-
think what's gonna happen is there's gonna be someone who's gonna deliver the packages, Jim, to the people.
I don't know that you can do that. I mean, if everybody, if this service is provided and everybody gets package delivery to their apartment, then that's probably acceptable from an ADA standpoint, all right? If, on the other hand, everybody has to pick up their own packages, then I think you've got a problem.
Mm. I agree. It's, I don't know if it is ADA compliant. I don't know what the ruling is on that with packages, but you have to go outside and come back in.
The way the board looks at it, any normal person and any handicapped person basically has to have the same route of access pretty much. Or you have to provide another comparable route for a handicapped person. And right now, I don't see it. I mean, unless you made everybody go outside the building and come through that side doorway and go in there, everybody had that route and it was accessible, then yes. But where some people can stay dry and come up the stairway and then go to that particular place, no. You're not going to provide basically an outside route and an inside route for 2 different groups of people.
Can you zoom out, Brian, just so I can see the path that they would take, please? Thanks.
Yeah, tell me when, Amy. That good?
It's still loading.
I
And then
mean,
if
we
you
do.
just
I
slide
think
it-
we do have the ability to enter it from the garage level, which is accessible to everyone. We would.
Peter,
Go
Peter,
ahead.
if you don't mind, it's
Yeah.
3 steps. What do you got for a dimension? And can we put an internal ramp instead?
Ooh,
I don't think so.
we don't have enough land. We don't
Not enough space.
know.
Well, I think it's a good point, and I think, to our team, we've got to think about this not only for the package room, but for the trash room, right?
Mhm.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you look at where the trash room door is, and then you look at where the package is, one, you go up 3 steps, and theoretically, they're all in the same elevation. Another one, you go in the handicap breakdown area, basically, and you go in that side door, basically, and there should be 3 steps there. The whole grading system has to be looked at here, and how you provide accessibility to both groups in the whole corner of this thing. The fact you can pull a truck in down there and get it off the street, I think is important. And the size and amount of packages basically presents a whole nother problem. So to me, there's 3 or 4 problems that have nothing to do with drop off on the outside of the building, has everything to do with process inside the building.
Mm.
Yep.
Also, turning radius too, to get into that, is 12 feet wide enough?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think,
12 feet's a lane on a street, so
But even to turn to take that 90-degree angle, if it's a bigger truck?
yep.
Okay.
all right, well, Jim, and Amy, your point's well taken on that, with trash and, package. accessing it. I mean, Peter, you're gonna want to look at that in conjunction with Rick?
I'm wondering if we can make, we have the trash door. Maybe we put 2 doors and make the or even 3, and make that trash room more linear. So it goes along the back of the building. There's kind of a little more space there. And then we can let the trash room, the package room get almost 2.5 times as big as it is.
But you gotta solve, I don't know, it's almost like the whole area needs to blown up. What's the size of the trash cans? How do people, and I assume they got recycling in there as well.
Right.
How are they laid out? How does somebody get in there to dump their trash? All right. How does somebody get in to get their packages? And if you've got like a rack or something like that on one side, lay in the package area, and a lane for a person to walk down, but also consider it's a wheelchair. So it's 36-inch, it's at least 36 inches of wheelchair run at width, basically. It's got to be, the whole thing's got to be relayed out with reality in mind, and it's right now it's not there.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're right. We need to micro design that, really get into what's happening there. I think Steve and Joe, you guys were thinking of almost like wheelable bins, weren't you? That with wheels that would go in, like 3x3 containers.
Correct.
That's
Yep.
correct.
So how many would you guess we would have, just from your experience in a building like this?
Right now, I would say around 10.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta factor that in because, we're talking that the trash pickup is gonna be on the same day of the town. So, we don't want to have multiple trash pickups here during the week.
Right.
Well, I saw a letter from a commentary, basically, or letter basically to the building departments recently filed about the fact that you can't use the same company that the town is using. There's some understanding agreement. Basically, they won't do private developments.
Well, I think if the town wanted to, this is where, with all due respect, with a 40B, the town has to work with us too. So if the town has that requirement, if it's going to make this project better for everybody, including the neighborhood, the town has the ability to waive that.
So you haven't seen the letter at all?
No, I'd be happy to look at it.
Yeah, it's been submitted. Gail sent it out to the board members, basically. So you might want to get it from Gail.
I mean, I think you both know the essence of these projects is a working collaborative, not a let's put hurdles in front of everything we're trying to do to make it work.
Well, it's one of those things that you should be prepared to clarify.
Yeah, I get it. So.
All right. So now that we beat that one to death, let's move on to Matt. I should note one other thing while we're here on the.
And Jim, I'm sorry to beat on that. I mean, we're offering that trash pickup as a convenience to everybody, that we would use the same entity.
Well, I understand, but that's
if someone wants to say, hey, look at this rule, you can't do that. You got to use another company. It doesn't make our project not work.
No,
we can have a different company pick up the trash. It's just going to be more convenient for everybody.
Yeah. Except that I agree with where you're coming from in if they're going up the street picking trash up for the neighbors, if that same trash truck can double as dealing with this site, it just puts less traffic on that street.
That's right.
So I don't disagree. I'm just telling you, there is a letter out there basically of a commentary basically back to the board about restrictions that exist out there. I don't know whether they do or don't. I just read the letter.
Yeah. And, whoever sent it, I appreciate it. It's good that we know so we can deal with it. So whoever that was, thank you.
Yeah, that was my issue too, is just not a matter of who's going to pick it up, because obviously somebody's going to pick it up. But if it's not allowed, then just something for your team to look at to find out, okay, who can come and pick it up. I think they said they spoke to Joe Conway in the letter. I didn't get a chance to reach out to him to talk more with him about it, but I'm pretty sure that's what the person that wrote it said.
Can we,
Maybe, it might be in their contract with JRM, who knows?
Right.
Yeah.
can we zoom back out on this plan?
Oh. Yep. How far out, Jim?
Just get the whole picture.
Okay. That okay?
Yep, that's fine. So while we're here, I have spent the last few days, 3 times a day, pretty much walking this area to see what the circumstances are. Never mind what TAC's done or traffic has done. I just want to see for myself what goes on in this whole block and parts of the other block, all the way down to the fire station and down to Otis Street and all the way to Water Street. And there's a huge amount of no parking areas, basically. So the apartments that are 39 through 51A, I guess, on Crescent Street, they are the only people that really have parking along Crescent Street, and they're fully utilized, anywhere from 10 cars to 9 cars, basically. And as far as I can see, none of them have parking provided with them. So the only available parking for those units basically are on the street, which they're fully utilizing. On Crescent Street, there are anywhere from 4 to 5 cars parked on the street continuously up there. And they only have one side of the street and only a portion of it because there's restricted parking to the corners. And I think they use it either as a convenience because they're in driveways that are triple or quadruple loaded, single aisle, basically. So it becomes a pain in the rear end to back cars out to get at cars, or they don't have enough parking in the parking areas they've got. On top of that, there's a lot of very wide driveways which take up space that could have been used in a single lane driveway for parking on the street. So I think from my perspective, basically, I think that we need to increase the parking inside the building, basically to mitigate what potentially could be a real problem for the people on the hill or the people basically on Crescent Street, because they depend on those parking spaces, I think, going forward and in the past. So we need to make sure that the tenants of this building basically utilizing 100% of the building and any guests they have come into the building as well. I assume the parking spaces in this building are part of the rent and not a separate fee, basically, for parking in the building. Can someone clarify that for me?
Steve?
That's, yeah, no, that's correct.
So what happens?
there-
So what happens to the half spaces?
We actually were talking about this today, and we're going to include, in the leases for especially the 1 bedrooms, 1 car parking. That would allow us 11 extra spots for visitors.
And do you put them on one side of the building so the visitors always know which end to go in?
The visitors would go on the lower portion of the parking, not on Crescent Hill.
So, but that doesn't answer, like, if you've got, what do you do with the 0.5?
Well, I mean, I
Allow
don't know.
them one space and the 0.5 as a floater?
Well, yeah, I mean, with a 1 bedroom unit, 1.5 spaces are required.
Right.
So what Steve is saying, and this is all, we're trying to work this out. An idea or a thought is that, in the 1 bedroom leases, the lease will provide that the 1 bedroom units can only have 1 car. So basically, you're gonna be left with if you do that, you'd be left with approximately 11 free parking spaces that could be designated visitor parking spaces. So that's what happens with your floater. It goes towards visitors. It would get locked into visitors.
Yeah, but what about then what happens to the person that husband and wife have a car and they're in a one bedroom?
They don't rent.
Right.
They don't rent.
No, but they might rent and then they'll go on the street.
It's part of the lease. I mean, that they get one, they can only have one vehicle. Not that they get, it's not part of the lease that they get one parking space. It's part of the lease that they can only have one vehicle and they need to identify it.
They can't park in the visitor spot every day, is what
No.
you're saying? Okay.
No. I mean, these could all be conditions in O&M of the project.
Is that allowed
Yeah.
under 40B?
Right.
Oh,
We'll
sure.
we'll
Okay.
also have permit parking stickers inside the building.
And that'll be part of the O&M of somebody that's gonna manage that?
Correct.
Correct. And I think, Jim, I think your point is well taken because, your concern is that, you start like leasing parking spaces and then all of a sudden there's no visitor spaces.
Well, that and people don't want to pay for it and they'll go and park on the street. We've already gone through that discussion elsewhere on projects, basically, particularly on condos.
Well, I think if they can only have one car, in their, if I'm not going to sign a lease and be locked in and then violate the lease, by trying to sneak in another car. I don't know how they're going to do that.
Well, they're not going to sneak it in. They're just not going to tell you they have a second car and they're going to park it on the street.
Well,
Can't control that.
yeah, we can control what we can control.
But
There's also nothing that controls our neighbors for having 10 cars.
well, I have to count all the units in the cars that are up there, basically, because there are quite a few, and obviously some people have more than one.
Yeah, and there's no restrictions on those.
No, there isn't. But you can see their concern, basically, on the situation on the hill and on those units across the street. I mean,
Well, if you take a ride,
the units on Crescent Street are not provided with any parking. I mean, they have to park on the street. There's no place short of maybe in front of the police station for they go and park on, or park along Lincoln or Princess or something like that. And even there, they're restricted to 2 hours. Or it's public employee parking.
one of my clients owns one of those buildings across the street, and he actually rents space from Princess Plaza to allow his tenants to park in that parking lot at night down below.
Well, that's interesting.
Just
All right.
that place to get off the road.
All right, like I said,
I mean, I think we can only address our issues, as you know. I can't address the fact that, there's multi-families across the street that don't have any parking.
I understand, and from a traffic flow right now, at least in the times I've visited, and there may be times during the day where it's very heavy, but I've never really seen it very heavy on there. What I have seen, and I appreciate it because we talked about this with the elderly housing down there, is they've now basically put signs every 10 feet, no parking, no parking, no parking, because everybody was parking there. And when we passed that, basically, Rich said there'd be no parking out there because there's plenty of parking inside. But yeah, what do? They parked outside, even though they had plenty. And you've mentioned basically they have plenty inside the building, but for whatever reason, nobody wants to use it. So now
Well, I think
they posted, every 10 feet a parking sign, just like people are blind, they can't read. It's very curious. Anyway, so can we move on to massing?
Sure.
And have we made any progress? Amy, I cut you off. Are you anything else you want to talk about?
No, no.
I mean,
right now.
just on this issue, there's not a lot of places for people to go that aren't going to be able to park here. I mean, they could, try to park, pretty far away, but they can't, if you go up Crescent Hill, Rick Salvo took a look at this. I think there's some of the houses up there have very wide driveway openings. I don't know how they got.
That's what I said.
Yeah, I don't know how they got those allowed because you couldn't do that today, but they're huge curb cuts. And so there's really not a lot of places to park cars up there. One side of the street has no parking allowed on Crescent Hill. And the other side, Rick calculated. Rick, what did you come up with? About 5 cars that you could fit, 5 or 6?
6 or 7 spaces, maybe, to not be in front of somebody else's driveway.
That's about right. 6 to 8, 7 to 8, somewhere in that range.
Yep.
Yeah.
No
And
more
I
than
know
that.
the people from Crescent Hill, and I respect it, don't want these people parking up there. And that's not our goal.
It's not a very convenient building to get into, parking on Crescent Hill. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but we're also a lazy society, if we have to walk all the way around a building, generally we won't do it.
Well, is that you end up, even if you park up there, you've got to turn around at somebody's driveway. Because there is no turnaround up there. All right, moving on.
Okay, so, Peter, can you bring up your last rendering type thing?
I think I can.
Or you want me to do it if I have it? I
If
gotta
you
find
can,
it.
that would be great.
Oh, now you challenge me. I gotta find it.
I know. My screen's not letting me annotate either, which would have been really helpful.
Hold on, let me see here.
Why?
I've added a pin to yours. Everybody tells me share, and there's a thing called a pin. Like Brian's got a pin on his name. I just gave Peter a pin.
You did.
That allows you to put something up. Remember that, Amy.
Okay.
It's a pin. It's not a share.
Where do you see the pin?
I know, I'm looking for the pin now too.
Yeah.
If you
Oh,
go
allow to multi-pin.
I think this might help us. There we go. This it?
That's
Yeah.
Brian sharing, yeah.
Okay. So Jim, what do you want to go on this? Let me show you what I got on this. So we have the floor plans, which you really not that, you really want more of the elevation, right?
Yep. Well,
Okay.
I want a top floor plan, which
okay.
hasn't changed, like fourth
So his-
floor.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
hasn't changed at all.
No, I mean, Pete hasn't done any more, we want to talk about the issue and how to potentially resolve it. So maybe we can restate the issue. This is the 4th floor. This is the 4-story floor plan. And is your issue these two? Hello.
I think that was Jim's original issue.
It's those 2 units, isn't it, Jim, in the back right-hand corner?
Ryan,
Oh, I think he's frozen.
If I may, it was the vertical line of that location.
Yeah.
Right, because when you look at that in elevation, if we stop at the hallway, then the whole building drops in the hallway break.
Jim, you back?
I
You're
think
muted,
he,
Jim. You're
is
muted.
He's muted too.
Can I unmute him? Oh, there we go.
I'm here.
You were
He's
frozen
there.
in time there for a minute.
Yeah.
So Jim, what we're saying is, this is the 4th floor plan. Your issue was in this area, right?
My issue was, yes.
Just so we understand.
Yeah, there's 2 units there. And dealing with this in dealing with a little jog on the other side, on the other side towards the front.
So, all right, here we are. So this is the Crescent Street elevation. Are they up in this area?
It's the one behind, but it's also the one in front.
I mean, I have a
There-
real hard time figuring,
So
Yeah,
so if you take the entry
yeah,
street level, and to the right of it, there's a line going right straight up.
right here.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's the break line. So anything to the right of that on the 4th floor should go. That's what I was saying originally.
So it's really right here. And back here,
yes,
Peter?
yes, that's correct. So Brian, just jump to floor plan again, if you would, the 4th floor. So what I think Jim is saying is we can maintain, well, it's this unit and then these 2 units.
It's this unit, right, Peter?
Yeah, because that when we followed the line up from the end, it's this front bedroom that has the 3 windows in it and the edge of the porch. That's the break point.
So it's this unit and then these 2 units.
That's correct.
All right, so let me go back down to the elevation just so we understand it. So there's 1 and then the other 2 are back here.
That's right.
Right.
Okay. And Jim, you're saying this should just be a step down period.
Well, that's what I'd like to see, yes.
Because then it's a clean break between the upper 4th floor roof and then this 3-story building. This just goes away,
And it kind of goes down the hill too.
steps down the hill.
Right. That's the whole object basically, is to have it step down like it's 2 different buildings. Or a building with an addition on it.
If I may, I thought it was the vertical line to our neighbor, Jim, that you
Which
mentioned.
if you eliminate that, if you eliminate those, you end up more parking.
Mhm.
What, Jim? I'm sorry?
He said if you eliminate those, then you end up with more parking.
Well, I mean, our goal is not to lose units. I mean, we understand this is a discussion and a negotiation. So, I mean, we're happy to entertain that discussion, but we kind of want to know, we kind of need to figure out where the end game is in that, because you are right, if we lost a couple of more units, it would help with the parking. Even though we meet the zoning, we would now exceed the zoning requirement, which, isn't a bad thing to do. I don't think it's required, but, again, trying to address everybody's concerns.
But if I may, Jim, I think originally when you said you didn't like that vertical line to our neighbor, to 50 Crescent Street, which I agree. If
Yeah,
we're back to the other side of the elevation at the, just put bedrooms off, take those 2 bedrooms, push them out of the way, so you don't have that vertical line and not lose the units. Maybe lose 1 and then make the other one a longer from front to back, side to side.
it doesn't break down as well as it might. All right, maybe the unit with the 2 windows in the front makes sense and the ones out back don't.
Right.
Um,
I mean, I was
But
thinking where
at
the
the
2
same
bedrooms
time,
are. I'm
As
sorry.
I said before, basically, those back units don't do it for me. And if you look from the side, basically, it doesn't do it either. If you look from the abutting side, it doesn't look, but the whole thing is to have this thing clearly step down the hill. At least that's what I'm looking for. Whether other members on the board agree or not is another matter entirely. So
We're trying to make you happy and
that's it.
get to a
right
point.
there.
Right here, Jim?
No, I think it's on the other side, isn't it?
And I'm not sure.
Right.
if that- Yeah, but I'm not sure I'm not sure that that's correctly drawn. At least it wasn't some
Yeah,
time
I mean,
back.
I'm not saying there's not a problem. I just want to understand. I get so confused looking at these things.
I think you're better off the floor plan, Brian.
Yeah. but-
It's confusing to draw too, trust me.
I mean, is
There's a lot there.
is this the angle from 50? Is this the angle from
No.
downhill down on Water Street?
Yes, yes,
That
So,
is-
yeah.
yes, it is.
So
But
are
you-
these the two units back here, Jim?
Yes,
Well, it's the
The-
front one too, the top left, right?
Yeah.
Those
Yeah,
What
two-
you're saying, Jim, is the building steps down, but it really doesn't because you have these two.
right. It's only the front edge that
Right
steps
here.
down.
Right there.
The
Yeah.
back edge doesn't step down.
Understood.
She'll be right with you. So I was suggesting like push that back 12 feet to the right. So you don't have that vertical line.
Joe, so you're saying lose the two on the top left and then push the other ones back 12?
Well, because I know that Jim's concern was a vertical line that the neighbor
We
had to
go
look
back
at.
here. This is better. Okay. Go ahead, Joe.
If you go back to the floor plan, it's better
Oh.
for me.
Hold on. Fourth floor, right? There you go.
Yeah. So in other words, those two units by the staircase,
Yeah.
What,
you have
44 and 45?
two one-bedroom units.
Mhm.
Yeah. Take the bedrooms right out, make that a one unit just in the front and get rid of the two bedrooms. So we have I don't know if you want a porch or a deck or something, but step that back, that depth, the depth of that bedroom
Step
So
it
that
back.
would
from
turn
here.
into one unit, one bedroom unit?
or whatever, 2-bedroom unit, whatever we make it.
Okay.
2-bedroom, 1-bedroom, same parking space. At least if I'm gonna lose a unit, I'd like to pick up a bedroom
Well,
so we can compensate the cost from a 1-bedroom rental too.
So those two bedrooms
Excuse me?
could potentially get swung down to the bottom. So from going this way to this way below where the bathrooms are?
It would go from the staircase to the front to Crescent Street.
Okay.
So where would it go, Joe? Would it be,
It'll be
here.
long ways from the staircase that way, staircase to front to Crescent Street.
from the
Those-
staircase here?
Yeah, staircase there.
You cut it right here?
No, you cut it at the bedrooms, the end of
Well,
the
that's what I
bedroom.
thought. Yeah.
Yeah. But
You
it would
cut
run,
like that.
right, exactly. Take that to the right of your arrow off to the neighbor. So he wouldn't look at that vertical 40-foot line or 35-foot, whatever it may be, 35-foot wall. Which, by the way, that neighbor's in favor of the project.
yeah, until he wakes up one day.
No, he's I don't know.
I mean,
we can
people-
we can,
People
I
have
know.
difficulty understanding scale. I guess I'd have to see it to,
Well, Jim, not offense, he's a builder, he's a developer.
okay.
So he understands totally what he's looking at.
So I guess I'd have to see a layout and an elevation to see how that all works.
Well, my concern is what's the difference in the layout? I'm just curious. We're looking at exterior, a visual from the exterior. How we lay it out inside that space doesn't really matter, does it?
No, I'm looking at how far do you pull it back? That's the layout.
No, leave the unit
Versus
exactly
the
the size it is. Well, I mean, again, Peter will have to do it. I thought we were gonna have that already resolved by now, but yeah, I'm sure Peter could lay something out pretty quickly.
Brian, can you go to the floor for a moment? I wanted to bring up a thought that I've been having.
What do you got? Where you going, Peter?
If you can go to the first floor plan.
First?
Yep. Yeah,
Hold on.
Yep.
Second, okay. Right here. First floor?
yeah, and you can just zoom out a little bit so we can see the back, the whole thing. So you see the building in the back has the 2 3-bedroom units, and then it has this space in the front, which is one. I wish I could annotate, but I can't. But this 1-bedroom apartment on the bottom right there.
Right here?
Right there, yes. If I can in that section of the building, if I can make that a couple of feet wider, I think I have the ability to get 2 one-bedroom units in there. So 2 ones, and then I'll do it again. So I can put in the space of 2 units, I'll get 4, and I'll take off those 2 on the top completely. I'd like to play with it in this rear building, and if you zoom, I'm sorry, if you go to floor 2, please, Brian. Right here, you're just there. I just want to go back up, go back.
Hold on.
I
Second
know it
floor.
takes a second to load.
You want to go, which floor do you want, Peter?
Floor 2 is perfect. Stay there. If you look in the top right hand, right where your cursor is, you see the way those 2 units, that's 2 one-bedroom units right there. Picture taking that rectangle and putting it back here, and I'll do it again. So what you see, just zoom out a little bit, Brian. So what you see in the front of the stairway, I'll repeat here in the bottom right here of the rear building, and I'll get these 4 units in where I now have 2. That's what I'd like to try and do. I have to play with, I need a little bit more depth in there to do it. But I think we could make that work, and that reduces that upper massing completely. And I think we hide it within the back building.
But how much is more? How much is pushing to the property line?
So Jim, let's look at this together, because my scale and your scale, you get about scale I think. So we've got, what would you say that this from the back right corner to where the edge of the hall is? You want to say that's, I don't know, 30? Maybe it's 30 feet, and this is more like 25.
Right here, Peter?
So these 2 units down, just below it, just below the stairway there.
Right here?
With front to back, yeah, those 2. Because that's when I need to expand this 1-bedroom unit by. I'm thinking it's about 5 feet. That's what I think it is.
And it's expanding how?
I was hoping I could push it, and maybe Rick, you can tell me if I'm crazy, but could I push the right-hand section of this rear building back about 5 feet?
Well, let's go back. Let's go to the site plan that we were dealing with. Hold on.
Definitely doesn't look like,
The. There you go, man.
it definitely doesn't look like 5 feet.
No. Just that
Right now, we've got a setback of 6.8 feet.
6.8.
Yeah, you can't, you don't have room, Peter.
So, and I think you really need that for constructability and all that sort of thing.
Okay. So something that Steve and Joe had thought about was to take that right-hand corner there and make it, and see if I could make it a 2-bedroom unit. So instead of a 1, we make it a 2. That's what Joe was just talking about, and that brings the value of that up in terms of bringing rent in. Maybe it's possible.
Yeah, I think you can play with that. I think Rick is right. I don't think you have the room to bump this back.
Well,
Okay.
you're also crowding the neighborhood basically a little bit. I'd rather deal with this 4th floor than modify this level. in a
Okay.
way, But I'd have to see both to sort of understand it fully and understand the effects based on the property line.
Yeah,
Right.
plus, when you're looking at value, I mean, the value of an upper story unit compared to somebody buried in the lower part of the building is probably not equivalent. Would you
Probably
say,
true.
Joe?
So we'll explore that idea that Joe had of a linear unit where we now, and that peels us back in 12 or 14 feet, helping that lower roof line continue through.
Yeah, yes, and I'd want to see the plan of the layout basically in relationship to how it affects that level, but also the elevation.
Right. Yep. Okay.
But then Jim, do you still want that front one down? If they're just gonna rearrange that 2-bedroom in the back to pull that in, do you still want to see that front one down, or?
I'm not sure, Amy, because it does add some character to the front and gives
Right.
a nice dropping, it gets that roof basically in a better flow.
Right, because I think it would just
Down the
look a little
building?
odd if it was just a flat roof right there.
What,
Yeah,
Amy? What, right here?
Yeah,
Very
I mean, unless there was some other type of how.
Looking at that
the one on the end
elevation.
Has the, I don't know what you want to call that roofing there, but,
It's mansard, Amy. It's
Thank you.
mansard roofing.
Amy, you think this look makes a little sense?
right,
Because it
That's
kind of
what
goes
I think,
boom,
yeah.
boom, and down, because that's a long span.
right, if it was just a flat roof across there, I think
Yeah.
I don't think it would have the same effect.
no, it wouldn't.
Yeah,
And where that roof is behind that area to the right is actually not where it actually is. It's further out. That's almost where the stairway is. Ain't that right, Peter?
You think that'll be there when I do the linear? Can we go back to plan for a moment?
Right there where his cursor is where the
Yeah.
stairway is.
So Jim thinks in reality, this actually comes over further, right,
I think
Jim?
it's further over, yeah. It could be.
So basically, if we pull the unit back, most likely what it's gonna look like. Actually, maybe a little more. Oh,
Yeah, probably a little more.
can windows go on the side of that, or what's that going into? That's going into the stairway, you said?
I think we should
The
add
one
windows. to it.
that's, the roof that's being shown right there is not of those two units that are on the plan. That is the stairway far back, all right, in between the two buildings.
Oh, you're saying the units are in front of that?
So, yeah, what's on the plan now for those two bedrooms is actually in front of that. And the edge of it would align with the edge of the far right
Manside.
man side, yeah.
So,
Right.
Right about there, yeah, right about there.
so this really, in
Right.
reality, no offense,
Right.
Peter, this is really not accurate, right?
No, I think they've just been so fluid with everything moving, but and this is, you've had this for quite
Amy,
a,
would you like to see windows on that, whatever wall is up there?
Yeah, I think it might just add something, and I don't know if a mansard on top of that section would do anything, or, I mean, obviously I'm not an architect, but
I think you're gonna end up with windows anyways, because you're gonna end up with a bedroom or something else there that's gonna need one.
Right. You need
oh,
the light.
if it shifts the other way. Yeah, I think it would be nice to see it with windows,
Yeah.
so it's not just a blank wall.
can we jump to plan again, Brian, just for a second? That fourth floor?
Mhm.
Just want to get it back in my head again. Oh, yeah. Okay,
Whoops.
yeah. See it now.
I think that roof, Jim, that you're looking at is that bedroom to that front unit.
That is, that,
Yeah,
yeah.
Well,
Okay, yeah.
yeah,
Back even further.
right. That whole 2-unit section basically is not reflected in the elevation.
That's a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So let's go back to the elevation.
All right.
Because now, Joe, what you're talking about as a resolution doesn't really make sense. Because you're talking about
Thanks.
pulling it back, but you can't pull it back because it's really already all the way
No.
out to here.
No, that one stays.
This one
No,
does.
that one stays. See the
Yeah.
3-window? The 3-window stays, 2-window stays.
Yeah,
The next one will be a 4-window. You'll be looking at it, but it sets back.
yeah, but
That elevation, I don't think is
no,
correct
but
height
you-
wise.
you've talked about pulling it back by the distance of the bedrooms.
Yeah, but
right?
it doesn't show
He's-
anything about that there.
I know, but you're only gonna be able to pull it back
It's
to
gonna go
about
where your
here,
cursor.
right? I just want to make sure everybody
Take the
understands
bedrooms
that.
off. Is the concern that Jim had. Well, Jim had the elevation of that wall. He wanted to get rid of that vertical line,
Yeah,
which I think is how many, 40 feet, 30 feet? What is that? To where your cursor is right now is like 40 feet.
Yeah,
So that you had a 40 vertical wall that he was concerned the neighbor would not like it. I agree with him. Not because I went to Wentworth Architectural School, but you know, I like to see it step also. Not delete it, but step back so we don't have that vertical line,
Well,
a 40-foot vertical line.
let's let Peter play with it because we can design it
Yeah,
here. We can let
exactly.
him work on it, you know?
Yep.
Yeah,
Peter,
Yeah.
is this front
I
staircase
agree.
gone now, Peter?
Yeah, yes, Rick and I lost that.
Yeah, that's gone.
Unfortunately, it's gone.
Yeah, it was out out on the sidewalk. I think it
Yeah.
was.
I suppose the only way you could do it would be turn it 90 degrees so it goes up the street
Hmm.
or
Yeah,
both down the street and up the street, but there's
Well-
not enough, there's not enough land between there and the street.
right.
not even with a recessed porch.
We talked about that, Rick, didn't we? Trying to get a stairway in there, it was fighting us.
I think the stairway.
Yeah,
I don't think we want a stairway because we don't want to encourage people to be stopping here quickly, right?
that's right. Yeah, the street's falling away too quickly. The easiest way to do it is make it match grade at the intersection of Crescent Hill and Crescent, and just step onto it there, just walk across.
All right.
Then you need to do something to make sure people understand how to get to the building by where the end of that porch is. Something's got to happen that announces that as the entry point up at the end of the porch. Because normally a staircase and a pitched roof, columns and the like would tell you that's the entry. But you've got a circuitous route to get there, which is accessible too at the same time,
Right.
if they can get up the street sidewalk.
Brian, can you show the third floor plan for a
Mhm.
second? Thanks.
There you go.
Thank you. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
You want to see the back part too, Amy?
No, just I'm looking at the front part. I'm just thinking of that front unit if it was to go like to step up even more. That first, the one in the front there. You know, that would be the 2 stories, and then the next level is the 3, and then the kind of in the back is the 4.
But this is not the top floor, Amy. It's the 3rd floor.
The 3rd floor, yeah. So if you go back to the rendering of the front, that the one with the mansard all the way to the top right on the 3rd floor. No,
Oh,
over
this?
more. Yeah. You know, so if you put the mansard on the 2nd, and then you have 2, and then this next section is 3, and then the next section is 4. I don't know. Thoughts on that?
Trying to step it more so the mansard drops on the far right down
Yeah,
floor.
yeah.
I don't know.
That's like Cliffside Apartments in Malden.
Yeah.
There's no way though, Amy, that turns the corner. If that corner had stuck out in the alignment of the abutting side wasn't back at the far right of that, then I'd say it's a possibility. But where everything runs that right side down, taking this mansard off at that, or dropping this mansard leaves you a weird situation to solve.
Does it? Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I wasn't sure if it would just be an easy slice or if it's,
No, and it also is, it's too quick. I mean, it needs to go and be flat, then drop, flat, and then drop, but there's not enough flat before it drops. So if it was over another bay or two, maybe it would make sense, but that's just a longer, wider building.
Okay.
Well, like I said, I think Pete could put a couple layouts and then look at you and Amy and take a look at what it comes up with.
Yeah,
The interesting thing, though, is that if you look at the far
Any other
left,
issue going for today?
Joe, you're breaking up.
And Jim was talking.
yeah, if you look to the far left, what happens on the, I guess it's the third floor, how it juts out on that side.
This little piece, Jim?
But on the, yeah, on the right side, it doesn't do that between the second and third floor there. It doesn't jut out. Keep on going to the far right,
Right here,
down
Yeah.
one,
You
down one,
right here.
right there, yeah.
want to
So,
match that, Jim?
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, it won't look so straight up, I think, right?
right, right. It breaks that up a bit, breaks that edge up.
What are
Okay.
your thoughts on adding a mansard on that flat part on the right, the third floor? Would that look weird or?
Right here, Amy?
Yeah. It just seems so like just flat.
It's actually laying back. It's hard to read on the elevation, but
Okay.
The pitched roof,
Is it? Okay. Yeah, it's hard to tell. So,
just like at the
Yeah, but
top,
that
the
is
fourth
roofing.
floor, you can see it, you can read it as, you can't read that small line at the back, but that's the pitch.
okay.
Peter, you can show roofing in that spot, right?
yeah.
Or color it or whatever you do, just so it
Hmm.
shows up a little nice.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
I think too, it might help me to, so there's the three windows, that kind of turret, vertical. Maybe I need a vertical line where the next mansard is. Possibly pull that forward 6 inches or a foot so that there's a vertical break as well. Now then you'll break to where we were just discussing.
Right here.
Something else can be done in there. Yeah, I think that can be, and that'll read better. Because something you and I did initially, Jim, was to get this, start to read like 1, 2, 3, 4 mansards kind of all being connected. I think I lost it on the right. I think I need to get the breakdown again the same way.
Yeah,
And that's because it undulates a little bit, right? Where we're stepping forward and extending out to the left, stepping forward, showing brackets. If we start to do that on the right-hand side of the building, it'll break the massing of that down again.
yeah.
Okay. We'll get back into it. What will happen again? Will we do a Zoom like this again and look at it, or will I send it to you and Amy?
We may have a public meeting where we all have to be in a room.
Yeah, we
Where?
don't know.
How? How's that work?
This may be the last Zoom meeting, who knows?
All right.
You
Okay.
got the logistics, Peter, you gotta work on with Rick on the delivery and stuff like that.
Yeah, and the trash and the
Yeah.
in the delivery room. Yep.
Okay, anything else?
No, so I think what we'll do is, Peter, what do you think your time frame is to work on some of this stuff?
I mean, we're going to work on it this week, so we'll have something at the end of the week to look at.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think on the go around and check the other elevations too. So they show more of reality. We may end up, if we solve this, then we may look at the other sides to make sure they all come together as well.
Yep. Makes sense.
And then when we start talking materials, you think, Jim?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think, the whole object here is, I don't think we should be talking about materials until this comes back to the board
Yeah,
to get where they're coming from, basically, because they don't know about the drop off unless they attended the TAC meeting.
right.
They haven't seen this just as long as we haven't seen it either, so they're unaware of this conversation.
Okay.
And so I think I don't, well, I suppose we can take a double step basically and talk about materials and make that presentation, because it does have an effect on how the whole massing comes together, not just in three-dimensional, but also in color or material changes, basically.
Right. It's going to read totally different.
Yeah. And Peter, I don't know whether you've done anything with sort of a rendering type of thing yet.
No, but we absolutely can. We can render or even partially render the front so we can show material breaks.
Yeah.
That could help us, and help convince everyone that the building is working better, reading better. I've got to get the roof lines right first. But I think
Is there enough room in front of this building for trees? Or we get them on the sidewalk? I didn't pay attention as to whether there's any grass strip basically for public trees.
I think there's a little bit of space on the right.
There's a grass strip out there now.
All right.
Yeah, trees would be helpful.
Yeah, I think there are actually some trees down the street towards 48 and 50. But I don't remember really.
Yeah. Do you have room in front of the property for shrubs or anything, flowering plants or anything like that?
Well, this gives you an
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, we've got quite a bit of room, especially
Okay.
near the garage entrance for planting.
Okay.
Well, I think the exposed foundation basically going to have to be dealt with on the Delhin side.
Mm,
So there is a grass plot
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Along with our famous telephone poles.
Yeah, I mean, we've got as much as 19 feet in some areas, so there'll be a good landscaped area in the front where the entrance is off Crescent Street.
Well, I
Can
think,
you go underground with those or no? The poles?
no. No, I mean,
But the poles that are there.
for a project like this, Amy, just huge money.
Okay,
Our services can be underground, but those poles won't go underground.
okay. Is there gonna be a crosswalk or anything you guys are gonna put in?
Well, that's up to the traffic people. If they want it, we'll put it in.
Okay,
I don't think TAC's really talked about that, Amy, have they? You
no,
were-
they haven't. I just thought of it when I'm looking at the street view, that there's not one there. Might be something to
I
consider.
think there's one. Yeah, there's really nothing.
No, I think it's all the way down. I don't even think there's, oh no, there is one by the police station because there's the Otis Street.
But you think there'd be one for Crescent Hill for even the people that live there, because you've got a handicap ramp here.
Right,
Yeah, but that's only going up the street. It's not
Oh,
across the street.
but you have sidewalks across the street. So if people want to walk
Mm.
downtown, it'd be nice to have a place to go across and then connect,
Mm.
right?
right.
And I
Even
think
to
there is
go
one.
across Crescent Hill and then across Crescent Street.
I think there is one as we go up.
Yeah, by Otis.
Yeah, but it's a way up,
That's a hike, yeah,
way up. I mean, even here, you figure there'd be one.
right. Maybe some things for added value to just think about.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So I think what we'll do is we'll go back a little bit to the drawing board, then circle back to you, Jim, when we feel we have something else to talk to you guys about,
Yeah.
which might be next week.
You want
So,
to come in front of us again before you
Yeah.
go in front of the whole board?
No, we
Well,
need to come back
but-
before you to resolve these issues that we talked about, Amy.
Okay,
I mean, we have to figure out the trash room and the delivery room. You brought up good points. I think that we need to make more room for those somehow.
okay,
And then the elevation stuff that you talked about.
You don't think you go to the 23rd?
I think the 23rd at the ZBA is going to be a push.
Yeah. That's just next Wednesday, right?
That's a
Yep.
week. Yeah, that's going to
Yeah.
be, that's going to be a push.
And then the next one's it's the 14th, so.
Yeah,
it's
I
a
think
week
that's
out
probably
from
more
tonight.
realistic at the zoning board because it gives us time to work with you two on some of these design features.
Right, and not rushing Peter to do
Yeah.
it. Okay.
And don't forget, Jim, if you and Amy feel necessary, the board gave you access to Lieutenant Anderson.
Yeah.
Mhm.
After spending some time on the street, basically, I'm not sure that I need his attention, basically. But yes, you're right. We can call him up and, talk to him, basically, or have him
Mhm.
attend these meetings.
Right.
I'd sort of like the board and I'd like to stay with the design as opposed to
Mhm.
basically get wrapped up in traffic, which I think the board should be involved in more.
Right. We can always have him come to a full board meeting
Yep,
to
Yeah.
answer questions from everybody at once.
But if you have any questions on him on deliveries and stuff like that,
Mhm.
Yep.
because that's
Yeah.
something that you were charged with.
yep.
Okay.
All right.
All right,
so
so we'll just wait now. You guys will let
Yep.
us know when you're ready to show us again, and then plan on it being continued at next Wednesday's meeting and on for the following one.
Yeah, I would, I know some folks of the public here. I would not say it's definitely continued at next Wednesday's meeting. That's on the agenda.
Okay,
So if something happens.
just in case, yeah, okay.
All of a sudden, Peter, gets stuff in a couple of days and we meet with you Monday or something. I just don't want to mislead the public that.
Right, okay.
It's still on the agenda until it's continued for the 23rd.
And
Okay,
if nothing else, Amy, we can just report, about our discussion here,
right, Okay.
without getting graphically into all the elements, basically, but just report this is the progress we're making.
okay.
And assumingly we'll have seen some iteration before then.
Mhm.
All right.
Works for me.
All
Thanks for
right.
your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Do we need to
Hi, guys.
vote to adjourn or no?
I guess we do.
Okay, I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
I'm in favor.
Yep. All right, thank you, guys. We'll talk to
Thank
you.
you, folks. All right, Amy, bye.
Good
Bye.
night.
Appreciate it.